alumni of RGUKT, very distinguished invitees, my student friends who are also on the line, both the current and past, members of the media, other friends. I take this opportunity to extend a hearty welcome to Professor Raj Reddy Garu, the founder, Vice Chancellor of Rajiv Gandhi University of Technologies, also the person who conceptualized the university and nurtured it, built it over the years. And what it is today is largely because of the effort he has put in. Sir, we are all grateful to you and acknowledge our gratitude. Now, we thought the best way of inaugurating the lecture series is to pay a tribute to Dr. Y.S.R, the legendary who not only in terms of his vision and more importantly, his liberal approach towards both education and health has made it possible. That's why we play, with the permission of Professor Raj Reddy and other friends, a 5 minutes video presentation on RGUKT as it was visualized by both Dr. Y.S.R and Professor Raj Reddy and what it is today. Please.
The philanthropist, the pioneer and the trailblazer of Rajiv Gandhi University of Knowledge Technologies, RGUKT, catering the educational needs and empowering the rural meritorious youth of Andhra Pradesh in technical education is the brainchild of our most honorable Dr. Y.S.R Reddy sir. During his tenure, our most honorable Dr. Y.S.R Reddy sir has introduced many state-of-the-art educational welfare schemes. Fee reimbursement scheme is the most charismatic and iconic scheme which has a profound impact on the education system. Our most honorable Dr. Y.S.R Reddy sir emphasizes that poverty should not be an impediment to a zealous student. His distinguishable class side throws light on the fact that if the education lamp of a student is lighted up, it radiance circulates in the entire family. This introspection of our most honorable Dr. Y.S.R Reddy sir marked the launch of fee reimbursement scheme in the pages of history of the educational scenario of the state of Andhra Pradesh. The quintessential fee reimbursement scheme, also known as the Post-Matric Scholarship Scheme, is a student education scholarship program of the Government of Andhra Pradesh. This scheme, initiated by our most honorable Dr. Y.S.R Reddy sir, reinforces the education of students from lower economic strata into the state who are pursuing graduate and postgraduate programs in engineering, medicine, education, business administration, and computer application. This effervescent attempt of our most honorable Dr. Y.S.R Reddy sir illuminated the lives of 33 lakh students in professional and engineering colleges. With the same inspiration, backed by the radical reforms in the education sector, our most honorable Dr. Y.S.R Reddy sir founded RGUKT to cater the educational needs of 50 rural youth of Andhra Pradesh. He laid the foundation for RGUKT, the apple of his eye, sprawling at 3 locations, namely Idupalpaya, Nuthiru and Basra.
All of you are getting essentially free education, free uniform, free computers, free everything. There's only one person that is responsible for it. was Dr. Y.S.R.
Our most honorable Christian, Dr. Y.S.R. sir, is the founding father of the premier technical institute, RGUKT. Here goes the voice of the visionary.
జిల్లా పరిషత్ హై స్కూల్లో చదువుకున్న వాళ్ళకు ఇటువంటి అవకాశాలు చాలా తక్కువగా వస్తాయి. కాబట్టి గ్రామాల్లో ఉన్న వాళ్ళకు జిల్లా పరిషత్ స్కూల్లో చదువుకున్న వాళ్ళకు ప్రత్యేకంగా ఏర్పాటు చేసిన ఈ కార్యక్రమం.
నా అభిప్రాయంలో ప్రపంచంలో ఎక్కడ కూడా 6 మాసాలలో 6,600 మంది విద్యార్థులని రెసిడెన్షియల్ పద్ధతిలో విద్యార్థులు చేపట్టడం అనేది కేవలం ఇక్కడే.
The Herculean task of establishing RGUKT is shouldered by the trio of RGUKT. Our most honorable Dr. Y.S.R. Sir, the former Chief Minister of Andhra Pradesh, Honorable Professor D. Raj Reddy Sir, the founder Chancellor of RGUKT, and Honorable Professor K. C. Reddy Sir, the Chancellor of RGUKT. Our most honorable Dr. Y.S.R. Reddy Sir envisioned the future of RGUKT students. In realization of his vision, RGUKT students exhibited an astounding success in native and foreign lands. They crossed the horizons and conquered the space. His dreams casted into a shade as the students excelled in and across the frontiers. An all-round development of the students in higher education, placements, sports, powerlifting, yoga, and cultural activities is evident at RGUKT. The multitude of the potential of the student is nurtured at every stage at RGUKT. It is noteworthy to mention that students of RGUKT bagged several prizes at national and international level in curricular and extracurricular activities. A complete success of RGUKT graduate student marked with an annual package of INR 1 crore. Inspired by the great visionary Honorable Dr. Y.S.R. Sir, a student of RGUKT RK Valley, cracked UPSC civil services to serve the needy.
నాన్నగారి విజన్ గ్రామీణ ప్రాంతాలలో బ్రహ్మాండమైన ఒక టెక్నాలజీ స్కూల్ యూనివర్సిటీ రావాలి. గ్రామీణ ప్రాంతాల్లో బాగా చదువుకునే పిల్లలు ఎవరైతే ఉంటారో ఆ మండలానికి సంబంధించిన ఆ స్థాయి నుంచి ఆ పిల్లలను మంచి ఇంజనీర్లుగా తీర్చిదిద్దాలి, ఒక టెక్నాలజీ యూనివర్సిటీ రావాలి అని చెప్పి ఒక మంచి ఉద్దేశంతో ఈ యూనివర్సిటీని ఈ కాలేజీలో స్థాపించడం జరిగింది.
Our most honorable Chief Minister Shri Yaduguri Sandindu Jagannath Reddy Sir, continuing the legacy of his father with the dignitaries, our most honorable Minister of Education Dr. R.D. Sir, Honorable Chancellor Professor K. C. Reddy Sir, Honorable Vice Chancellor Professor K. Reddy Sir, inaugurated the new academic buildings and laid foundations for various projects at RGUKT RK Valley. The cornerstone of RGUKT is to empower the rustic exemplary youth of Andhra Pradesh to the greatest heights. The idea is to create an institution where the ethics, excellence, and the excitement will be the real work culture. That would make a pragmatic impact on the society with a degree of innovation. Our most honorable Chief Minister Shri Y.S. Jagannath Reddy Sir is continuing this legacy in the system of education. In the loving memory of the founding father of RGUKT, our most honorable Dr. Y.S.R. Reddy Sir, RGUKT inaugurates Dr. Y.S.R. Memorial Lecture Series as a tribute to the greatest visionary who envisioned and empowered RGUKT.
That's a brief view of RGUKT. Very good evening to all of you. I'm Professor Hemchandra Reddy, the Vice Chancellor of RGUKT. It is indeed a privilege bestowed upon the Rajiv Gandhi Institute of Knowledge Technologies to introduce Dr. Y.S.R. lecture series commemorating the 72nd birth anniversary of Dr. Y.S.R. Reddy, the 14th Chief Minister of undivided state of Andhra Pradesh, who laid a solid foundation to the upliftment of the downtrodden, as was evident by establishment of this university for the talented rural youth. In fact, I deem it a privilege to introduce the founding Chancellor of RGUKT, Padma Bhushan, Professor Raj Reddy, Professor of repute in artificial intelligence and machine learning, and whose main interest in bringing technology in service of society, a man of vision for the future of rural youth, who co-worked with late Dr. Y.S.R. and the present Chancellor, Professor K.C. Reddy, and changed the fate of the rural youth by providing them with high-quality educational opportunities through RGUKT, located in the 3 campuses. Sir, your initial commitment as the founder chancellor has a continuing and significant impact on the quality outcome of objectives of this esteemed university. On behalf of your brainchild, I heartily welcome you, sir, for delivering this first of Dr. Y.S.R. lecture series. Ladies and gentlemen, I take a few moments to introduce Professor Raj Reddy. Professor Raj Reddy was born in a Telugu family at Kattur village of Chittoor district. He was the first member of his family to attend college. He received his bachelor's degree in civil engineering from College of Engineering, Guindy in 1958 and a ME degree from the University of New South Wales, Australia in 1960. He received his PhD degree in computer science from Stanford University in 1966, the year I was born. Professor Reddy worked at Stanford University from 1966 to 1969 and has been serving as University Professor of Computer Science and Robotics and Moza bin Nasser Chair at the School of Computer Science at Carnegie Mellon University since 1969. At Carnegie Mellon University, he was the founder director of Robotic Institute from 1979 to 1991 and the Dean of School of Computer Science from 1991 to 1999. As a Dean of School of Computer Science, he helped create the Language Technologies Institute, Human-Computer Interaction Institute, Center for Automated Learning and Discovery, and the Institute for Software Research. He is the chairman of Governing Council of IIIT Hyderabad as well. Professor Raj Reddy is an Indian-American computer scientist and a winner of Turing Award. He is one of the early pioneers of artificial intelligence and has served on the faculty of Stanford and Carnegie Mellon universities for over 50 years, quite a long period, sir. He was the founding director of the Robotics Institute at Carnegie Mellon University. He was instrumental in helping to create Rajiv Gandhi University, as I have already mentioned, to cater to the educational needs of low-income, gifted rural youth. He is the first person of Asian origin to receive the Turing Award in 1994, known as Nobel Prize of Computer Science, for his work in the field of artificial intelligence before the world realized the importance of it. Professor Reddy was a co-chair of the President's Information Technology Advisory Committee from 1999 to 2001. He was one of the founders of American Association for Artificial Intelligence and was its president from 1987 to 1989. He served on the International Board of Governors of peers in Israel. He served as a member of the Governing Council of EMRI, HMRI, which use technology-enabled solutions to provide cost-effective healthcare coverage to rural population of India. He is a fellow of Association for the Advancement of Artificial Intelligence, Association for Computer Machinery, Acoustical Society of America, IEEE, and Computer History Museum. Reddy is a member of the United States National Academy of Engineering, American Academy of Arts and Science, Chinese Academy of Engineering, Indian National Science Academy, Indian National Science Academy, and Indian National Academy of Engineering. He has been awarded honorary doctorates from many universities, with SV University, Henry Poincare University of New South Wales, Jawaharlal Nehru Technological University, University of Massachusetts, University of Warwick, Anna University, IIIT Allahabad, Andhra University, IIT Kharagpur, and Hong Kong University of Science and Technology. Professor Raj Reddy, as the founding chancellor of RGKT for a decade, guided the educational philosophy of the university and also molded the academic journey. Academic journey to maintain not only its uniqueness but create significant impact on the quality outcome and the student employment profile that later transformed their lives. Professor Raj Reddy continues to be the chief mentor, guiding RGKT in all important and key aspects. Thank you very much, sir, for being there for us. And it's my proud privilege to invite you to deliver the Y.S.R. series. Thank you.
You and the very interesting lecture to be delivered by Padma Bhushan Professor Raj Reddy. But I have a responsibility as chairman of the Governing Council of Rajiv Gandhi University of Knowledge Technologies as to why we started this lecture series in memory of Dr. Rajshekhar Reddy, and why we have requested Professor Raj Reddy to deliver the first lecture. The reason why we thought, the Governing Council in its wisdom thought that we should start a lecture series in memory of Dr. Rajshekhar Reddy, because he was the spirit behind Rajiv Gandhi University of Knowledge Technologies. I think only few of us know, Professor Raj Reddy, me, when we approached him for this initiative, it took only a few minutes to clear it. He said, no, go ahead. And then when he was inaugurating the Rajiv Gandhi University as Y.S.R, sitting behind him, I sent him a slip saying that we will start the institute with 500 people. But then he spoke to me saying that, what is your problem? If you have problem of money, well, you don't worry about it. But can you not do it? I said, we will do it. And that's the spirit behind Rajiv Gandhi University of Knowledge Technologies. We thought, I think I discussed quite often with Professor Raj Reddy that we were thinking of foundation lectures for Rajiv Gandhi University. But then ultimately we thought that lecture series should be in memory of Dr. Rajshekhar Reddy, not only because of his contribution towards just RGKT, but because of his contribution to the field of education and also to the field of health and empowering people through various programs. He was the people's chief minister. He was a popular leader, a committed leader, a leader with passion, a leader with confidence, a leader who always wanted to deliver only to the cause of the poor people And that's why we thought we should institute a lecture series in memory of Dr. Rajshekhar Reddy. Then Governing Council in its wisdom again thought that the best person to inaugurate and start the lecture series is none other than Professor Raj Reddy. Because RGUKT owes its existence for two people. One, Dr. Y.S.R, and second, Dr. Raj Reddy. But Y.S.R was the spirit. It was Professor Raj Reddy who conceptualized it. Not only conceptualized it, nobody would believe me if I tell you that umpteen number of times he traveled from US to India, not taking even a pie from either the university or from the government. He is a man who, even at the age of, in fact, when people ask me a question, at 75, you are traveling from Visakhapatnam to RK Valley by road. I said, around 80, Professor Raj Reddy used to do that. Then why not I? So that's where I think we thought the best person to deliver the first lecture is Professor Raj Reddy. Sir, we are indeed grateful to you for having consented to our request. And all of us, we have a large number of very eminent people who have signed to the lecture. I don't want to stand between your lecture and them, and therefore we have great pleasure in requesting you to deliver the first Y.S.R memorial lecture. So over to Professor Raj Reddy.
Thank you, Dr. K.C. Reddy Garu. Distinguished guests, distinguished distinguished guest Dr. Suresh, and guest of honor Sri Satish Chandra, distinguished Chancellor K.C. Reddy Garu, distinguished Vice Chancellor Hemchandra Reddy Garu, distinguished Professor Dr. Balakrishnan, honored guests, faculty, students, and friends. It is my great honor to deliver the inaugural. Mute their microphone, please. Okay. It is my great honor to deliver the inaugural lecture of Dr. Y.S.R. My talk today is about the future of education and how technologies and COVID are likely to transform the future of education. So, I was honored to be present in 2008 when Dr. Y.S.R. announced the creation of the RGUKT to benefit gifted rural youth in the form of 3 IIITs in the 3 regions of the undivided Andhra Pradesh. He felt that identifying and providing full scholarships to the top 1% of the rural youth will yield enormous future dividends. So the vision and mission of RGUKT was to provide 6-year integrated education right after 10th class with free food, accommodation, tuition, and uniforms. And the admissions were based on selecting the best people in each mandal while following the reservation norms and ensuring geographic equity. Because otherwise, mostly, major cities with good schools were getting all the admissions. And to provide free laptops and internet connections to ensure remote instruction with lecturers at a distance. Selecting the top students resulted in more than, in the 10th class, resulted in more than half of the students being girl students. Dr. Y.S.R's vision was revolutionary then and even today. The issue we faced can be summarized in a soundbite, a slogan: talent is everywhere, but opportunity is not. For example, if you're born in a rural village, youth, you cannot compete in the national exams. Most rural kids can't even go to the coaching centers at all. And rural parents don't know what options are available for their kids, that they might want to go to IITs. They may never have heard of the name IIT and how to train for it and go there. And many of them cannot commute and cannot afford the hostel fees to attend college. And in rural villages, quality teachers are not always available. So given that talent is everywhere, but opportunity is not, what did the RGUKT solution try? The RGUKT solution said, if students cannot successfully compete in the national exam, we will directly admit after 10th class using the local best model within each school and within each mandal, and not based on statewide exams. Rural parents don't know how opportunities were available to their kids. So we started initially by admission by invitation, not by application. This had to be discontinued later because of the problems with ensuring the reservation norms to be followed were not completely accurate. The databases were not accurate. And because they could not commute and cannot afford, if you're a rural student, we created a fully subsidized residential program. And since quality teachers are not locally available, we provided for online remote learning. This was 13 years ago, before we ever heard of COVID. So learning processes at RGUKT used e-lectures, e-laboratories, and e-libraries, and used many of the latest advances in learning sciences, such as learning to learn, learning by doing, and just-in-time learning, and self-paced learning. So recently, before the start of at the beginning of 2020, the central government announced the new National Educational Policy of 2020. It was a significant improvement over status quo to provide equitable, vibrant knowledge society with quality education for all, with 50% increase in education budget. I don't know whether the increase has happened or not, but they changed the school education to 5+3+3+3 model, and there were no exams except in the 3rd, 5th, and 8th grades, and interdisciplinary curriculum. They wanted everyone to start learning to program coding by the 6th grade, and they introduced midday meal scheme for everyone. And the higher education, the post-secondary education, was also changed so that one can have 1 year, 2 year, 3 year education. There was a 1 year certificate, 2 year diploma, 3 year BA, and 4 year BTech. They also set up special education zones and gender equity. Unfortunately, as a result, in light of the COVID-19 pandemic, that whole plan has to be re-envisioned. Instead of 5+3+3 model, it can be as long as people are going to have computers and internet connectivity, you can have a completely flexible curriculum where every student is learning at their own speed, self-paced education. Exams, there is no need for any exams as long as there's an exam every day. That is, their homework has to be graded and they have to provide feedback, and every day's performance is recorded so that the total exam performance is the performance in every day. So it's more important to be consistently learning rather than keeping quiet for 6 months and then going and taking the exam in the last minute. Interdisciplinary curriculum can become self-paced curriculum. Everyone can decide what they want to learn, when they want to learn, how they want to learn. Okay. So there are a number of other options available, including providing a KG to PG college in every village. And so even things like special education zones, have students that can somebody please mute all the microphones? There's some background noise coming in. Okay, so the implications of the national curriculum framework also have to be envisioned. So my proposal and the future of education is going to be all the education will be centered around remote learning and online learning. There's a background noise in the system. If somebody can mute all the mics.
Sir, you are not audible, sir.
Sir, you are muted, sir.
Yeah. Sir, please unmute, sir.
Okay. Now you should be able to hear me. So
problem Sir, you need to unmute your microphone.
I am unmuted. I am unmuted. Can everybody hear me? There's still some background noise. Dr. Vijay, your microphone is on, has not turned off. Okay, good.
BDC 49432 mute.
Yeah. You are now muted.
I request all the friends who are on the line to mute their microphones because it is causing a lot of problems for Professor Raj Reddy to continue the lecture. Kindly mute all your microphones till we go to the question and answer session. Please.
Okay. So basically, if we're going to kind of have all the education centered around online learning and remote learning, there are some minimum requirements. Everybody must have a laptop or a tablet. Everybody must be connected with the internet. And everybody must have digital literacy. They must understand how to use the technology. So this can be taught. This can be taught in primary school, actually. On the first grade, KG, kids have been known to start using computers at the age of 4, and it's not rocket science. So there is a cost associated with it. So it turns out to have this kind of online remote learning, access to computing, and so on, costs about 2,000 rupees per year. And we can go through the math later. We don't have the time. And these days, with a geo dongle, you can provide internet 5G connectivity, but there's a cost associated with it. It costs like 150 rupees a month. So somehow, the new budgeting for education must provide for, remote learning and online learning. And that means adding another 3,000 rupees to the budget. If they do that, then lots of things become possible.
ఫోటో ఒకటి తీసిన కొంచెం ఫోన్ పట్టుకుంటే ఎట్లా వస్తుంది?
Rakshita, can you please turn off your microphone? Pavan Kumar also, everybody. I can see here who is speaking, who is making the noise. Anyway, the bottom line here is, in order for a society to be able to fruitfully engage in online learning and remote learning, not only must you have a tablet and connectivity, you must also be a digitally literate society. That means everybody after the age of 3 must know how to use computers. They must know how to turn it on, how to use it. Right now, the reason why we are having this difficulty with microphones is not everybody understands how to turn on and turn off the microphone. And if that has been taught in the beginning, at the age of 3 or 4, we wouldn't have this problem, right? So the second thing we have to do is
Sir, your mic is muted, sir.
I'm okay now, I think. So
Okay,
the issue is we also need to think about how we're going to re-educate all our existing teachers. So we need to create a Teach the Teachers program. And finally, we need to rethink the National Educational Plan of 2020 and National Curriculum Framework to make sure we are still not living in the pre-pandemic era. We are now in the post-pandemic era. So all of those have to be re-planned, rethought through. And the key there is digital literacy. And everybody, not only the students, but the teachers and the parents, everybody must be digitally literate. And that's what we need to kind of think about how we plan for that. So there are some problems with online learning. You need face-to-face contact. You need social interaction. And people, if they're all by themselves, procrastinate and never follow through all the things. So what is being done is what we call a hybrid model. It's still remote learning, except you don't have to leave your village. You stay in your village, and then you go to the school, but the actual lectures and everything is being delivered online. But there is a teaching assistant, and somebody who took who graduated from primary school a few years ago. They don't have to be, graduates and PhDs. Anybody in the village who has been through the same program can be a teaching assistant, because if they don't know how to help them, they can actually ask the experts online very quickly. And so this idea of a hybrid model, where you are doing remote online learning in your village, but not in your home. You go to the school, you meet with your other students, and you have access to all education, KG to PG. You can even get a master's degree without leaving your village. And this becomes possible now in the pros and cons of education. So my proposal is that RGUKT should re-envision itself, reinvent itself as an online university and a center of excellence for education, technology, and learning sciences, which they have been trying to do for the last 12, 13 years anyway. So this would be a very good development. So there has been a proposal for an IT and emerging technology research university, which I think is a very good thing, to be established in Y.S.R. and to sustain and advance the position of the state. And this is not in competition with RGUKT. I'm supposing RGUKT should stick to undergraduate education and stick to remote learning and learning sciences and education technology and learning sciences. And RGUKT can be complementary to the proposed IT Emerging Technology Research University. So in conclusion, in the post-COVID era, all recommendations of National Education Plan 2020 must be reviewed and modified to include online and remote education strategies. This means every school, all schools must be connected schools and connected homes with Wi-Fi, and everyone must have a smartphone, laptop, or tablet. And digital literacy must become universal, well, not only the students and teachers, but also parents, starting with the primary school. And this can be done provided someone like the RGUKT reinvents itself as an online university and provides online content so that even an illiterate farmer in the evening can learn how to be digitally literate. And this is not a rocket science. Anyone can become that. And so that's basically my proposal. And also, I think the idea of people dropping out or not continuing at the end of 1 year, or 2 years, and 3 years, and 4-year diploma. Right now, if I'm in a college degree program, if at the end of 1 year, I'm not really interested in the subject, I have to drop out. I have nothing to go with. The National Education Plan had this 1-year certificate and 2-year diploma idea so that people can drop out at any point and still have some certification which would help them in their thing. Rather than saying you have to wait for 4 years and complete all the things, it's not possible for everyone, especially then since they're forced to take courses because the admissions is based on your rank, and therefore you're admitted to fields that you don't really care about. Somebody decided that's the only place you can go. And this has been a major problem with the current education system. And almost everybody, if you go to any IITs, many of the graduates graduate in different disciplines, but they never practice. Ultimately, they end up doing whatever they want to do after they get a degree. All that the degree is doing is a certification that they have a degree. With that, I thank everyone. I appreciate the opportunity, and I'd be happy to answer questions. I think Dr. Balki is going to conduct the dialogue.
Sir, I thought they can put the question on the chat box.
Okay.
And then I see many questions related to RGUKT, so I would filter them out. We will ask about the future of RGUKT or the technology related to.
Dr. Balki, you are making the single mistake that everyone knows what the chat box is and how to type in a question. Maybe you already know that, you can do it. but they may be, maybe some number of people. I didn't know how to use the chat box to type in the question.
There is a hand sign. If they raise that also, I can do that. Because there are 338 participants participating in this.
Yeah, anyway, it looks like you have enough questions. So why don't you read me a question and I'll try to answer it.
So I've not got any questions so far, sir.
Oh, okay.
In the chat box, in the chat box, if someone can put a question, it will be good, sir.
Yeah.
I request everyone who is listening to the lecture to put a question on the chat box. There is a chat. If you look at the icons below, there is a chat. You click on that and you will see the others chat as well. So you can go ahead and do that.
Sir, the chat has been disabled. Please enable it.
Sir, can you please tell me the IIIT Ongole campus?
What is the question, sir?
Sir, can you please tell me the IIIT Ongole campus?
Okay, that question may be better
Even
asked
though
to
there is no permanent campus.
Right, that question may be better asked to the Chancellor or the Vice Chancellor. Professor K.C. Reddy, you want to take the question?
I thought the questions will be on the lecture and.
Right, I know, that's what I was saying, but.
I think I would say that I think both Dr. Y.S.R. and Professor Raj Reddy, the reason why we call them as visionaries is because 13 years ago they thought about, not about COVID-19, but about the need for online learning, online teaching learning. I think why RGUKT is able to complete the academic programs is largely because of the model teaching by learning and also online content development. That's why RGUKT is not only unique but different from other universities. If there are any specific questions from, I think from Mr. Pathsathi, any question?
I have an answer to the Ongole campus. I don't think we need an Ongole campus. I don't think we need any campus. If you adopt the idea that the students can stay in the village and take all the courses and get a degree, then, it's not just the top 1% or 0.5% that get in. Everyone can get educated. Everyone can get a degree. And depending on how motivated they are, right? But that doesn't mean we should close down the campuses and we shouldn't build it, because there's always a need for social interaction. And so I'm hoping even in a completely online learning situation, there will be opportunities for 1 year or 2 years of postgraduate education on the campuses for research and so on. So I think exactly what happens in the future can be flexible.
Sir, I have two somewhat interesting questions connected with that. Okay, sir. So what are the further techniques to improve the RGUKT for the future generation?
Right. So basically, the RGUKT was set up to provide quality education for gifted rural youth. And at that time, we said 1% are the most gifted ones. So selecting 1% turned out to be an interesting challenge, but let us say, but 1% were 10,000 people. There were 1 million students taking the exams and passing on the 10th class. My feeling is, even if you take 100,000, 1 lakh students, the top 10%, they're probably pretty gifted. And that's what I mean by saying talent is everywhere, but opportunity is not. What we need to do is create opportunity. And the way to create opportunity for many more people to get quality education is to adapt online learning and remote learning. Even if once there is such a program in every village, even people that are adults who did not get the education earlier can go to school in the evening. The same facilities will be there. They can go to school over the weekends. So there are lots of opportunities that become available if we adopt the online learning and remote learning model. But that doesn't mean you still need teaching assistants and mentors in every classroom so that questions can be answered immediately.
Sir, there are another very interesting question. I think only a person of your caliber can answer that. Some young student says, I want to become a professor in IIIT and IIT. So which courses I have to take to study after the 10th standard?
Right. So professor at more than IIIT and IIT, you should aim to become a professor at Indian Institute of Science. That is the preeminent institution.
Correct.
Dr. is there. So Dr. Balki is more able to answer this question than me. How do I become a professor at IISc, Indian Institute of Science, Dr.
Sir,
Balki?
it is not the subject that you study that's important. You should do the very best in that subject. It could even be anthropology. It can be anything that you want. But you should be second to none, exactly like what Professor Rajniti is in computer science today. Okay, so I think the way you do that is you be the best in whatever you do. And you will automatically join the Indian Institute of Science. We don't care a damn about which area you're working on because a university works on every area that you can think of.
So let me follow up on what Dr. Balki said. You want to be the very best in the thing you're choosing. Most of us don't get the opportunity to be the very best. Not because, mainly because we are kind of shoved into some other program which you're not interested in. Take my example. I started with civil engineering, not because I was interested in civil engineering, because somebody said that's the only program you can get into or should get into. And fortunately, when I went abroad, then I had the opportunity to do something else. And what we need to do is create the opportunities for everyone to do whatever it is that they want to do, and without kind of imposing restrictions. And the way to do that is to let people study whatever they want in a self-paced learning curriculum. And then based on how well they do, if they're not doing well in that program, after a year they can drop out, change to something else. Let us say I started in engineering, I wanted to become a doctor. And right now I have no opportunity to change disciplines in India. But there should be no reason why after 2 years I can have a change of heart and say, engineering is not for me, I want to be a doctor. And that means there should be opportunities created, facilities available so that you can change as often as you want. That's where this 1-year certificate, 2-year degree and diploma and 3-year degree of the National Education Plan is a very good idea. That is, I can drop out after 1 year and go do something else.
Sir, there is another very interesting question. I mean, one of them is about the inadequacy of the infrastructure, like network connectivity across the country, nothing to do with RGUKT alone. How do we overcome that? And then the second question is, I'll put both of them together. You can answer one by one also. If everyone gets engineering through online teaching, then what about job availability?
So the issue there is the purpose of learning. I'm answering the second question first, and then we'll come back to the network connection. We need to view the education as a learning opportunity, not a job opportunity. So one of the things you can do after education is to have the right opportunity to do whatever you want. Let us say, I'm a very good cook, and I want to, learn how to be a good cook, and so I need to learn how to be a good cook, and then I need to have opportunity to start a restaurant,
Right.
and create jobs rather than ask for jobs. So the whole idea is, if you believe in Dr. PM Modi's Make in India model, we need to create people who are entrepreneurs, who have the opportunity to start something. There's some other noise. So now coming back to this first question on the network availability, there are two issues. One is if you don't need very high bandwidth, like watching high quality movies and so on, for educational purposes, I believe the wireless 5G technology is good enough. The only issue is what happens if I don't have any money? How do I get connectivity? There has been a proposal, there is a plan on the books at the Ministry of IT, MIT in Center, to provide free connectivity to all students. And one of the things, even some of the governments, were trying to do, for example, Telangana, to provide Wi-Fi for the whole city of Hyderabad for free. Anywhere no matter where you go, you take your tablet or laptop and you're connected and you don't need to pay anybody anything. So I believe just like we provide water and roads for everyone, we should consider connectivity as an essential infrastructure. We don't ask people, you're going on the road, therefore you have to pay 100 rupees or 50 rupees or something. You simply say road is there because that's a societal good and the government is responsibility of providing it. I'm saying in the future, wireless infrastructure is a necessary part for every person. We shouldn't say only people that can pay 150 rupees a month can have connectivity. That's a stupid idea. And this goes back to the whole issue of setting up, auctioning the bandwidth. If you auction the bandwidth, they have to make money, then they have to turn around and charge something. I think we should have made all the bandwidth free, provided the connectivity is also provided for free. But that doesn't mean it's got to be completely free. What that means is basic connectivity is free. If you want very high bandwidth, and you want to, then you can pay some more. That's what, even the current cell phones do that. They limit the total amount of capacity, 5 GB or 10 GB or something. For most routine people, that's good enough. It's only if you're watching, movies from morning to evening every day, you need a lot more bandwidth. But even that should be free. There's no reason, why we have the charges. But that's a different societal issue.
So there are lots of suggestions to include cybersecurity, artificial intelligence, machine learning, aeronautics, and so on. I will leave that to the Vice Chancellor to take note of. But there is very interesting question which all of us would learn from, because, sir, can you please tell us about your childhood?
About what?
About your childhood.
My childhood.
Because I think you are a great role model for all of us, but for younger generation to know that, you can achieve it. And there are two people I know that who have achieved greater heights, who have been my mentors. One is Dr. Kalam and the other is you. So I think they're asking about the same thing.
So in some sense, I grew up in a village, right? Kattur is only 500 people near Kalasti. It's still there. And my sister still lives there, So the issue is the education and everything is no different than what everybody is getting. The only difference is when I graduated from what used to be called SSLC, 11th grade, I had to go to an intermediate junior college, right, PUC. I went to Loyola College, and most people cannot afford to pay the tuition or the hostel fee and go there. I was fortunate enough; my father could pay it. Not that he was very super rich or anything, but rich enough to be able to pay it. And that is the main difference between me and 4 other people in my village who were equally smart. So it's the opportunity is not there for them. However, if there was a remote learning, online learning possibility right there, and they could have done it, and if they had done extremely well, they would have been recognized and could have done postgraduate work and research and so on, or built up their own IT company or something. So there are lots of things. That's what I mean. The talent is everywhere, but opportunity is not. And we need to keep on looking for ways of creating opportunities for the rural youth. And I think that's basically where we fail. So basically, I've been lucky. In I was in the right place at the right time with the right people. And that's, I think, made all the difference.
Sir, what I will do is, Dr. Suresh has come, so I think I've been given 15 minutes, so I've exceeded that time. I think if there are any more questions, I think the Vice Chancellor or the Chancellor can actually note down what is in the chat box that can be saved.
We'll note down all the questions that have come, sir, and then we will.
Many of them are related to the administration of RGUKT, so you can go ahead and do that. Okay.
All the suggestions that have come, I think they will be noted, and we will try to implement them, and with the permission of the Governing Council and everybody. I welcome on behalf of the Governing Council and on behalf of the entire university community, Dr. Adimulap Suresh Garu is not only our Minister for Education, he is an educationist by himself, an engineering PhD. Very rare that you come across an education minister who is a PhD in engineering. And it's our fortune that he is with us. And I would request him as our very distinguished guest on this occasion to give his message. And after the message, he, along with our Vice Chancellor, Directors, and Finance Officer, will make a virtual presentation of a memento to Professor Raj Reddy. I am indeed grateful to Professor Balki for moderating so effectively the question and answer session. Thank you, Dr. Balkishan Garu. You have always come to our rescue, and even at short notice, you respond to us. RGUKT particularly is grateful to you for all your support.
Thank you, sir. It's an honor, sir. Thank you.
I'm not talking anything. Am I audible?
Yes, sir.
Professor Balki.
Yes, sir. You're very clear and very nice.
Sir.
Nice to see you, sir.
On the occasion of 22nd birth anniversary of the great leader, as we affectionately call Mahanetha, late former Chief Minister of Andhra Pradesh, who have really done remarkable things for the poor and needy in the field of education, agriculture, health, and in upliftment of the economic status of the poorest of the poor. None other than Dr. Y.S.R. Secretary. I'm very happy and fortunate to participate in this inauguration of Dr. Y.S.R. Memorial Lecture Series in memory of Dr. Y.S.R. Secretary, former Chief Minister of Andhra Pradesh, and the distinguished guests who are online through the Zoom. Professor Raj Reddy Garu, well-known scientist, and in fact, I'm very, very fortunate and happy to see him live after many, many years. And very good evening to you, sir. And on behalf of the entire family of RGUKT and all the faculty teaching and non-teaching, the Chancellor of the university, our Professor K.C. Reddy Garu, and Vice Chancellor K. Hemchandra Reddy Garu, and all the directors, sir. We are very thankful to you, sir, for accepting the invitation and delivering the first lecture on emerging technologies and implication for the future of education. And
Thank you, sir.
Professor Balki, who is now a part of our reforms in Andhra Pradesh, who have headed the first ever committee appointed by our Honorable Chief Minister Sri Y.S.R. Reddy Garu, soon after taking charge as the Chief Minister of Andhra Pradesh, with all the reforms which he have given along with this team. I'm sure, sir, now you are looking at how things are progressing in Andhra Pradesh. We are really very thankful to you, sir, for moderating the entire proceedings today, and other guests of honor today, and many academicians, academic administrators, scientists, and all the people, the distinguished guests who have really joined us on this online interaction on this application of the birth anniversary of our great leader, Sri Dr. Y.S.R. Secretary Garu. And I think, I don't know whether you know it or not, actually, we celebrate this day as a Farmers' Day, right to Dinotsavam, Farmers' Day, in recognition of the great services rendered by our leader Mahaneta for the farmers who were totally neglected and who were into these debt traps, and then who have committed suicides. From there on, a lot of reforms have taken place during the regime of our great leader, Dr. Y.S.R. Secretary Garu, in the form of free current, waiver of loans, construction of a lot of projects, and so on and so forth, which has been continued now under the dynamic leadership and able leadership of our Chief Minister Sri Y.S.R. Reddy Garu, true to the saying of chip of the old block. So he has inherited all that, the ideals of our great leader Mahaneta, and then he's continuing it. So on this occasion, Government of Andhra Pradesh, actually, our Honorable Chief Minister is supposed to join this wonderful program. They were supposed to grace the occasion, but because of engagements, could not join. But however, I'm very glad, sir, actually, the brainchild of Dr. Y.S.R., his triple ITs have come a long way in imparting quality education with content and with quality and with values.
Hello, sir.
And
Hello, sir.
the students from the rural background, from the rural societies, have really got benefited. This idea of triple IT
Hello, sir.
definitely attributable to the founder chancellor of RGKT, Professor Raja Reddy Garu, who, taking a cue from the great leader, Dr. Y.S.R, has really galvanized the entire technical education system, customized the courses, and brought out this 6-year integrated course by catching the rural youth at very young age after 10th class and then putting them into +2, truly orienting towards this technology. Now this topic, I'm sure, would have been discussed in detail, and some broad conclusions would have been drawn, where the future of education henceforth in the changed scenario of post-COVID is totally driven both for learning and also teaching by technology and technology alone. I don't know where this technology will take us in years to come. Maybe as now the technology in the administration has moved from paper to paperless office, and then in the administration from face to faceless assessment, where in income tax now you don't see the SSC at all, thanks to the technology, and then your assessment will be done by a person sitting in Gujarat, and the SSC would be somewhere down northeast Mizoram, who must be doing any sort of business. So I think in this context, in a lighter vein, now income tax department, income tax job is no longer lucrative for the aspirants because we are not seeing the SSC at all, thanks to the technology. Now moving towards the education now. So maybe days will come where you will not be seeing the teacher at all now. So it will be an interaction between the teacher-student without physically seeing each other, but in a virtual environment, in augmented reality, the teaching would continue. I don't know what will be the ramifications and what will be the implications of this technology, but we should always use it for the good. I was discussing this online courses, online teaching in Andhra Pradesh in the light of this post-COVID scenario. A lot of complaints from the parents, and especially not from the well-to-do and affluent class, but definitely from the lower middle class and people below the poverty line, telling that this online teaching is a bogus. This online teaching is only for the affluent class, and then we don't know what my child is doing by putting the tab before him, and then he is listening and he is attending the classes, and then since online connectivity has been given to each child and the link has been given, and where the management claim that we are teaching through online, and then we have got a chatting facility, we got an attendance facility, we got whatnot, everything to monitor and control the child. and there is no problem. But one survey I have just seen recently in one of the magazines, which says that the online education, especially for primary and upper primary schools and maybe up to high schools, majority percentage of the students don't understand what actually being taught in online. So the technology is not ripe enough. The technology is not fully geared up to meet the challenges of this teaching pedagogy. The curriculum would be framed, the syllabus is set. Teachers supposed to teach online are not sufficiently trained or not sufficiently equipped to take this further. So we have to draw a line as to how we have to take this technology, because there is no question of escaping from this technology. We have to take this technology, all this artificial intelligence, whatever is available here, where we continuously monitor through your biometrics or through your CC cameras, and then with all your apps, whatever are available, the entire administration in the fingertips, with the smartphones available, with mobile apps readily available, we can virtually control everything. But when it comes to teaching and learning, how far the students are ready to take these online courses, and how far the teachers are equipped to teach online, especially with the technical subjects. But I am sure in Andhra Pradesh, under the leadership of our Chief Minister Y.S.R. Jagannath Reddy Garu, who is very, very techie savvy, he wants the child to be ready with all the 21st century skills. We want to groom the child to face the challenges globally. We want to make the student to compete in the global environment, where now, as a case study, Professor Raj Reddy Garu, we need to emulate him from where to where he has risen, and then from where to where he has achieved to the heights of Padma Bhushan. So how to achieve these targets and how to create people of this caliber in the changing scenario? For Honorable CM, time and again, he mentions that the student should be a global student. He should be very, very proficient in the language of English. That's the reason why we have made English education as a compulsory. We wanted to take the concept of Dr. Baba Sahib B.R. Ambedkar, who said that poverty should not be a barrier for education, and especially for education. And with this concept and with this ideology in Andhra Pradesh, we have taken up a lot of welfare schemes of incentivizing the parents, incentivizing the students, incentivizing all the stakeholders of the education system, so that there shall be equity in education. The quality education should be available to everybody without any barrier of caste, creed, and race or economic status. This is the ideology with which we are going. We have started a lot of reforms, both institutional, infrastructural, and then qualitative reforms of creating regulatory and monitoring commissions to look after the fee structures, the quality of education, the human resource infrastructure available, both at school level and high school level. We have totally revamped the schools with the Nadu Nedu program. A lot of money has been spent, thousands of crores have been spent in the last 2 years of our existence as the governance. Y.S.R. Congress Party government, ever since we took charge in the last 2 years, 3 budgets we have placed, and in all 3 budgets, we have catered to the needs of education to the extent of 16 to 18% of the budget, which is amounting to 30,000 crores every year. Our Honorable CM said only one thing, the expenditure on education, the money what we are spending on education is not the expenditure, it is the investment. It is the investment on the future generations of this youth. All this education should make the student market ready, should make the student a brand by himself. He should be able to compete in the market with education. This education, but just by mere degrees, the paper degrees, it should not be the only medium for earning a job. I got a degree, I got a percentage, I got a percentage, this is my percentage and give me a job. No, it is because of the skills, upskilling, reskilling. And skilling is one area we are addressing it very, very strongly in all our education. And then we are creating a common curriculum, and we are creating skilling centers, we are creating a skilling university and interacting with the academia industry for the skilling. But I'm sure this type of lectures on these occasions will definitely galvanize the fraternity of Triple IT here in Andhra Pradesh, divided Andhra Pradesh. And this COVID-19 has really put a lot of dent on our revenues. Despite that, we have not stopped any of our welfare schemes. We have not stopped any of our developmental activities in education. And then education is one area. This government, Y.S.R. Congress Party government, we are giving top priority. And in next 3 years to come, we want to totally change the education system in terms of the quality and in terms of content and in terms of curriculum, in terms of value system, by giving more infrastructural, institutional boost. And the triple ITs, we really are very serious in developing these institutions. And incidentally, I just want to mention that we want to start with the name itself. Today, on this occasion of the birth anniversary of Dr. Y.S.R, I got a lot of representations from the Deputy Chief Ministers and from the ministers, and then on this happy occasion. And when we are celebrating here the birth anniversary of Dr. Y.S.R in the very campus of Triple ITs, we got a demand, we got a small request, we got a desire to name this university as Dr. Y.S.R Triple IT University. And I am sure on this occasion, this is a very, very good occasion to take this request to Honorable CM, and tomorrow I'm going to discuss this issue, and all the representations have come. Many representations I have received for renaming this university as Dr. Y.S.R Triple IT University. Not only by changing the name, we want to change the entire system here. There shall be a total paradigm shift in the working of this university from the days to come. And this is, I'm very happy to announce that Honorable CM has identified this university, this Dr. Y.S.R Triple IT University, which we are going to now get this new name, as one of the 5 universities which shall figure in the top 10 universities of AIRF rankings of the country. Along with this university, JNTU Anantapur, JNTU Kakinada, Andhra University, SV University, these 5 universities, we want to show special interest by giving more funds, by putting more time, by devoting more resources for making this university a top class, a world class university to reckon with. Because many great leaders have really put the foundation here with the noble cause of, imparting quality education to the rural youth, true to their ideals and true to their expectations and aspirations. We will not leave any stone unturned as far as improving the standards of this university is concerned, by way of increasing the budget for this university, by way of filling the vacancies in the teaching posts, by maintaining the ratio of TPR of whatever the university prescribes, 1:15 or 1:20, and see that in the years to come, this university will definitely churn out a world-class students on the lines of how Professor Raja Reddy and people like that have excelled in their life. We want to emulate them. We want our students also to reach out to that levels. And I'm really very honored and privileged to be part of this program. Give some message. I don't know whether there is any content in it to take or any takeaway points are there. But one thing I just wanted to tell you, everyone, is that we got the heart and the soul to improve the education system, and education alone will change the society. Through education only, good education only, we can change the society. This is what our Honorable CM Sri Y.S. Jagannath Reddy Garu believes, and then as a true disciple of Jagannatha, I will definitely put all my efforts, whatever has been told by my leader and whatever is required for the community, to bring glory to the state of Andhra Pradesh and glory to our party. Thank you so much.
Thank you, sir, for your thought-provoking and very enlightening address. You have made it in spite of your very hectic schedule. I'm not saying it for the sake of formality. It has been really hectic for him. He must have started early in the morning, and he has been traveling from, I think, Amaravati to Puluvendala and from Puluvendala to RK Valley. Thank you, sir. We are all grateful to you. Now, I have great pleasure in requesting our Honorable Minister, sir, to hand over virtually a memento to Professor Raj Reddy Garu. I also request all our directors, Director CTLS, along with our Vice Chancellor and Finance Officer in charge Registrar, to join this presentation of virtual memento to Professor Raj Reddy Garu.
Sir, how do you display? I can display. Okay, good. You take it. Yeah.
You take a picture, we will insert Professor Raj in between.
Acha. Photograph is there. Oh, that's great. All computers and professionals are there.
Including yours.
Sanjarani and her colleagues have been, I think, toiling for the last few weeks to make it possible. I'm grateful to all of them. But then I request for Sanjay Rani, Director, RGUKT, RK Valley Campus, to propose a vote of thanks to all of us. I think a large number of guests from different parts of the world have joined, and we got a number of inputs from Professor Raj Reddy, our Honorable Minister, and also from the participants. We'll make a note of all of them and try to do from our side, in order to, as Professor Raj Reddy Garu said, that we need to reinvent RGUKT. RGUKT need to be molded in a dynamic context using technology. And that's where I think RGUKT, no matter, to quote Professor Raj Reddy, whatever be the other institution that might come into existence, RGUKT should evolve itself with the changing times to address the emerging challenges. We will certainly try to do that, sir. Promise you on behalf of all my colleagues, directors, and all of them. Thank you very much. I request for Sanjay Rani.
Good evening to all. It's an honor for me to say vote of thanks on the occasion of inauguration of Dr. Y.S.R. Memorial Lecture Series organized by RGUKT. My sincere thanks to our Honorable Education Minister, Dr. Adimullap Suresh Garu, for his gracious presence on today's function. Thank you very much, sir, for your continuous support and encouragement to RGUKT. My heartfelt thanks to Dr. Raj Reddy Garu, Founder Chancellor of RGUKT, for today's thought-provoking and inspirational lecture. Sir, RGUKT always remembers your services and contribution for this university. My sincere thanks to Professor N. Balakrishnan Garu, Member Governing Council of RGUKT, for your gracious presence for today's program. Sir, we always feel you are family member of RGUKT. My gratitude to Honorable Chancellor Professor K.C. Reddy Garu and Vice Chancellor Professor K. Hemchandra Reddy sir for the opportunity given to me to convene the inauguration of Dr. Y.S.R. Memorial Lecture Series at RK Valley Campus. I would like to thank all directors of other campuses, Registrar Madam and Director CETLS for attending this program. Thanks to all teaching and non-teaching faculty of RK Valley for making this program a grand success. My appreciation to alumni and students of RGUKT for your active participation. Thank you, one and all.
Thank you, sir. We wish you all the very best. Thank you, sir.
Sir, good evening, sir.
Join all of us